This is Money Talk Radio, and I'm Ellis Martin. Join me now for a conversation with Ken Konkin, the president and CEO of Tudor Gold. Tudor Gold trades on the TSX Venture Exchange as TUD, and in the U.S. on the OTC as TDRRF. The company's Goldstorm project in British Columbia, Canada's Golden Triangle, represents one of the largest gold discoveries in the past 30 years. Tudor has identified a staggering mineral resource of 27.9 million ounces of gold equivalent, 2.87 billion pounds of copper, and 128 million ounces of silver. The 17,918 hectare Treaty Creek property, in which Tudor Gold holds a 60% interest, borders the KSM property to the southwest and the Brucejack mine to the south. The past producing SK Creek mine lies 12 kilometers to the west. Mr. Konkin has over 35 years of geological experience throughout North and South America, as well as Russia. Ken Konkin worked for Silver Standard for 19 years and managed advanced exploration programs in Argentina, Peru, as well as the Golden Triangle in British Columbia, Canada. Mr. Konkin was appointed the project manager for Pretium Resources after it purchased the Snowfields Brucejack project from Silver Standard in 2010. Subsequently, he was instrumental in the discovery of the Valley of the Kings deposit at the Brucejack Lake Mine, an 8 million ounce gold deposit currently in production. Ken, welcome to the program. It's great to visit with you here.
Great to be here. Thanks a lot for the invite.
For new listeners to the program, I always like to review the company as if our listeners have never heard of Tudor Gold before. So why don't you tell us all about the company?
That's probably 99.9% true because it's a best kept secret. Tudor Gold is a fairly new kid to the block in an old district in the Golden Triangle, the heart of the northwestern British Columbia, where monster deposits lie. Basically, it was a startup company from 2016, didn't really take traction until 2019. And since that 2019 program, I joined as manager of the project and became vice president, finally got appointed as president CEO. It's been a fast and furious 5 years of exploration to where we now stand at 27.9 million ounces of gold equivalent of 1.19 gold equivalent. So very strong resource, very large.
Seems like that's one of the largest new discoveries in the world, if you don't mind me saying. It's almost unimaginable. And you have a history. You're a mine builder.
Yeah, I've done this before. Just to the south, we had the success of Brucejack Lake and finding the Valley of the Kings deposit. And previous to that, I was involved with several deposits between Silver Standard, Pan American. So I had a well-rounded resume of taking things from basically exploration, advanced exploration rate to production, and exactly where we're at now with this particular project. But yeah, I gave the name Valley of the Kings in 2010 after the discovery in 2009 to the south of us at Brucejack that is now controlled by Newmont.
So with a project like this, what is your plan? Will you personally bring it to a mine? Will you personally bring it to production, or will you make it ready for a major to do?
Some of the adjectives like immense, very large. You would need to have a large company. We would look at a strategic alliance, somebody in the senior mining sector that would look at taking on a project that has 3 billion pounds of copper in one domain, something that would be an add-on to a gold portfolio. We've got 22 million ounces of gold specifically, along with 140 million ounces of silver, not to be ignored. So definitely one of the largest gold discoveries in the last 3 decades. So probably if we finish off this program and get it over 27 million ounces gold only, it will be the largest gold discovery in 3 decades, 30 years.
And the value of it during the last few months, even this week, seems to go up and up, doesn't it?
Yeah, the value, it fluctuates. It's a funny market. We keep going back to the initial kind of cheeky comment I made. It seems to be like a major disconnect, I think, between the markets and what happens in reality. And this is why a program such as yours is so important to us, that you get the word out to people we typically wouldn't cross in an elevator or in a coffee shop. So this is the kind of fireside chat that needs to happen, because people need to recognize the great opportunities that do exist at these low levels with gold in ground, copper in ground, silver in ground, ounces and pounds. Yeah.
You and I are both getting out there in the world, and that's how we meet each other. I imagine I've known members of your company for many years, but you and I have never met before. But we met recently in Quebec City, Canada, for a mining conference there put on by our friend Joanne Jobin. And you just have to keep pounding the pavement. If you can turn water into gold and nobody knows about it, what's the point?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We went there with that specific agenda to get the word out about the great discovery we had made in 2019 and how we built on that discovery discovery each and every year. And how we've spent now about $55 to $60 million on the project. And as a result, for $2 Canadian, you've got almost that discovery. So if you sat there and gave me $1.40 US, I would turn around and hand you a troy ounce in the drill indicated and measured category. I think that's an impressive statistic anywhere in the world. You try that trick anywhere and you'll be about $20 an ounce, which is good. $20 an ounce is a good number to use. So we're batting about $2 an ounce right now.
I'm always thinking about supply chain and vertical integration, especially in the battery space. And I know that Mitsubishi is very active in Western Canada. When do you start talking to those folks? Too soon?
We personally would never get involved with companies that would be electrification companies. We'd definitely be talking to the mining companies, the big producers. We've seen them come from South America. We in the past, as a North American mining group, have always hunted projects in places like remote, anything in the Pacific Rim, anything that would be South America, North America. Now we're seeing we are becoming the hunted. So people are coming up to us out of Peru, out of Chile, out of the States. They want to see the copper content for the electrification of the planet, which is an absolute certainty that's going to happen. So when you look at a project, even though it's a gold monster, it's also no slouch in the copper category. So that's the kind of approach we're using, the strategy, if you will, because the permitting will be ahead of the line, I believe, or you'll get special treatment when you have something of this size, of this magnitude, of this intensity, of not a bad grade either, a 0.3% copper in the domain of the CS600. When you look at the overall numbers, you might see basically the global resources sitting at 0.15, 0.18, but that includes all of the domains that have zero copper, so it gets diluted in those domains. But if you look at just our superstar center domain, just demonstrated a model here, a 3D model we've made up of this thing. We'll probably put it on the website. We'll give it a spin for everybody to look at. But that thing contains near 3 billion pounds of copper, 2.87 billion pounds of copper at this moment, and we're still drilling. Currently, we're on-site drilling, expanding in the direction of the best grades, just to try and come out with the strongest internal rate of return so that we can get the best, shiniest ounces and pounds forward in front of the major mining community.
Do you have enough money to do all that?
Yeah, we've got enough money. We're financed for the final of this drill program, but then going forward, we'd definitely be looking at ways of going to the markets. We've never had an issue raising money with this company. We've said no to money in the past that didn't need to take. We're so conscientious of dilution and that sort of factor that we only take what we need as we need it. So markets, what they are, they're just markets are markets. What are you going to do about that? One part is get out there and tell the story. Get out there and show people what an opportunity is. Do the comparatives. Do your own kind of analysis. How large is Galore Creek to the north of us? We're larger than Galore Creek. How big is Seabridge next to us? Seabridge is over double the size, but we've got about half the resources at double their grade. So that's the one takeaway. If anybody's a big believer of any kind of a project that can or cannot get permitted, there's a good example.
This sounds great. There's got to be a little bit of downside. Some of the investors that are listening to the program might be wanting me to ask that question. What sort of hurdles are you having right now?
There's always that aspect of advancing a project past, get it to a PEA so you have a set of economics on it. But going forward, its major work will be done on the metallurgical front. We're close to the end of that, which is good. We'll have some press releases coming up to demonstrate the viability, especially the CS600, which we think is going to be a straight gravity flotation with a saleable copper con with gold and silver credits. So that's always nice when you have a simple circuit going forward. So that, along with taking it to a permitting stage, that'll be the focus of the project going forward. Now, keep in mind, for anybody listening out there about the one discovery, this is one of 4. There are 3 others of these out there on this project that we have yet to tackle. So it's going to be, I think, more of a business model of how we approach that, how we look at dissecting the project and seeing what the markets will bear on the core asset of Goldstorm, but not to diminish the other unknown discoveries that are laying out there in the names of Perfect Storm in the immediate direction of KSM deposits. It's actually halfway between the Iron Cap and the Goldstorm deposit is the Perfect Storm. And then along along the northeast trend. If you want to look at our website and go along and have a look at the entire trend of these monsters on this beautiful set of thrust faults, is yet another deposit called Calm Before the Storm. And then one other apophyse of mineralization that we see directly southeast of the Goldstorm is the Eureka, which may be connected to the deeper domain DS5. So there's a lot of exploration yet to happen, a lot of potential, and it's what we call blue sky. As optimists in the industry, as an eternal optimist being an explorationist, you've got to be that. You need two things. You need to have tenacity. Tenacious is all as tougher than the hubs of titanium here, and have absolute adaptability. It doesn't really lend well in the sentence, but that's exactly what you need. You need to be tenacious, but if something's not working, stay with the tenacity, but adapt, change, like we did with the project. We initially started this thing as a gold project. When we saw the copper potential, we pivoted. We had a pivotal moment in 2021 where we attacked CS600, and that has paid off in dividends. So not only has it brought in stronger gold, it's brought in a lot higher copper than we typically had seen earlier in the project. So now we're sitting on the cusp of one of the largest copper discoveries in North America, along with gold and silver. A great place to have. Great place to be with the three top metals for sure.
All right, Ken, you're probably not going to this question, but I know you have a sweet answer. Shouldn't you be in the field? It's summertime, Ken. Come on. What are you doing in your office?
I came in just to meet with you, Ellis. So that was it. So I parked my 4x4 and I'm off to camp this weekend. So this is where I'm going to site. So we've got drills turning and I've got to try and align rock to rock and make sense of the higher grade intercepts that we should be seeing come out with press releases. I think our mandate was to target some of the higher grade subdomains, and optically I think it's the sulfides look to support that. It's a positive result. We'll see. So stay tuned for some numbers coming at you in the next, say, 10 days to 14 days.
Ken, thanks so much for joining me here in downtown Vancouver. It's always great to chat with you, especially in person.
That's great to see you.
I've been speaking with Ken Konkin, the president and CEO of Tudor Gold. Tudor Gold trades on the TSX Venture Exchange as TUD, and in the U.S. on the OTC as TDRRF. The company's website is tudor-gold.com. I'm Ellis Martin, and this is Money Talk Radio.